Here We Go Again was a song that Jim and Kenny and Jeffrey wrote, I think, before I got in the band.
That's another early one of me, Jeffrey, and Jim that we wrote. And
when I think of Here We Go Again, I immediately also think of Next Time. They're going to always be joined because they were written sort of the same way. I remember going to Kenny's house one night in maybe late 85 or early 86, and Kenny had a riff that he had been working on. He'd worked up. He had that riff, and then he had a little narrow sheet of paper that Jeffrey had written lyrics to called Here We Go Again.
That was just one that I had written, first verse, chorus, and basically gave it to Kenny.
You know, Galloway, he was a lot like I was with his lyrics and my riffs. I would always have riffs laying around, people were using, stealing, whatever. And then you got Galloway, he's writing lyrics on matchbooks, napkins. He's that prototypical, just if he thinks of something, write it down. If it's good, if it's bad, we'll figure it out later. But
yeah, once again, in schools where I wrote a lot of my lyrics instead of studying.
He was a lot like I was, where he would just have so many lyrics written, and you never knew, where a song might spring up on.
And he was going to put some music to it, and he gave it to Jim, and Jim finished it out, put the melody to it.
Kenny was kind of like, yeah, Jeffrey and I were working on this song, and he had written some lyrics and had this riff, but we don't have anywhere to go with it from there. So I sat down at that point and started working with Kenny on the song. I wrote a second verse to it, and then later on, back home, I came up with a bridge because, unfortunately, a lot of our songs back then, they were very two parts. A verse and a chorus, and that was it. And sometimes the verse and the chorus were the same music, and the melody or lyrics were different, but the music was the same. So a lot of times I was trying to come up with something to give it a bridge or a pre-chorus or some other part so that it had a little bit more depth to it.
And so once again, Jim was kind of the savior on that song, because as Jeffrey and I were wont to do, we would have pieces, of songs laying around, but there was never any cohesiveness to finish them. So I think that was one constant Jim always had was, if there was a couple of good pieces or, three good pieces from three different people in our band, he could tie them all together and a pretty good song would come out of it.
That was one of those that I added the bridge to it, and then wrote the lyrics to that, and became one that also we recorded at David West's studio.
We got an opportunity to go record some songs, demo some songs at a friend of Jim's home studio, and that was one of the songs that we had to learn. There were a lot of songs that we did during that session that I was not even familiar with. So I had all these songs I had to go back and try to learn. We hadn't been playing on live up until that point, so Here We Go Again was one of the songs that I had to go back and learn.
Yeah, even though that was a song that we liked and we had recorded it and I always loved the song, but I just don't, we never played it live for some reason. I don't know why.
There were so many songs, they were just like, here's the song, he goes, da 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 da, and I was like, oh, that's great.
And just had that great riff that Jeff Hamm loves so much.
And then there was another song, there was a lot of them that were very similar, so I was like, okay, I'm not sure, but I just remember that was one of those songs that went, da 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 da. So, here we are.
Maybe it was in a different key.
And I was like, oh, that's great.
Well, okay, cut.
I had, once again, it was another riff I had in the bag of riffs of old Kenny Boy, and pulled it out and wrote a pretty good song with it.
That was what I remember on Here We Go Again. It was kind of a punk pop song before punk pop.